Hi, I'm Marsh from StrataGames, and today we're playing some more Black Sack. This is basically my stock list, although I'm trying out something slightly different. I've been wanting a lot more fodder in my lists recently. It just feels like that is the main pressure point that I've been hitting, is that I don't have enough fodder. So I'm trying 4 Shambling Ghasts instead of my usual 2, and I've taken out both the Curse Marauders from the main deck. I'm not saying this is necessarily the best, it's just something I'm testing. Curse Marauder can be extremely powerful, growing your beetles. It can be great against terrors and a lot of different things. But honestly, I was looking at the deck, and it was the card that I recently have been liking the least. I think the safer card to take out would probably be Sadistic Glee, but I've actually been really enjoying Sadistic Glee recently. And the Marauders have been okay sometimes, but not always the best. So this is just a test. We are getting a little more removal in the main deck with the Shambling Ghasts, but of course, it doesn't kill off terrors and things like that. But we're just going to give it a try and see how it does. Otherwise, we have our normal Carrion Feeders, Beetles, Vampires, and Sadistic Glees as growers, Infestation Sage, Nested Shambler, Link Breaker, and 4 Shambling Ghasts this time as our fodder. And then we have 3 Stamina, 2 Unearth, 4 Village Rites, 2 Rite of Consumption, 2 Snuff Outs. And on our sideboard, Rotten Reunion, Tragic Slip, 1 more Accursed Marauder, Mesmeric Fiends, Drowned in Sorrow, Spinning Darkness, Sylvac Lifestaff, and a Spell Bomb. And actually, I think maybe we'll drop 1 Mesmeric Fiend for an extra Marauder since we took them out of the main deck, just in case we do go up against those Terror matches and really want them. So let's take this for a league and see how we do. All right, we are playing against Bokina, and they usually play Elves, so this 1 Shambling Ghast is pretty decent. Mortician Beetle plus Feeder's decent, and Sadistically is good. We're on 1 land and extra Feeders that we don't need. This might not be the best hand ever, but I think it's good enough, especially on the play, and because I'm pretty sure I know what we're up against. If we get another land, I think we are in a very good spot to win this game pretty quickly. If we don't, we might fall behind because picking off 1 creature isn't going to make that big of a difference if all we have is like 1 Feeder growing pretty slowly. We're going to lead out on a Feeder. We got plenty in case they were playing something different and can just kill the Feeder, but also if I want to Shambling Ghast potentially pick off their first creature, I need to start with a Feeder, unless we get a Swamp here, which would be our best draw. And we do. That's great. So I guess actually we're going to Beetle and Shambling Ghast. This isn't even the scariest creature to pick off, though. I kind of want to just save this for Priest of Titania or any number of other things. So we're going to play a Beetle, and I guess we're going to play a Feeder. I want to play something just to threaten the sacrifice. I'll gladly sacrifice this Feeder to eat this Birchlore if they want to chump. Not that I expect that. But the next turn I get to go Sadistic Glee on like a Feeder, or maybe the Beetle, and then Shambling Ghast pick off a creature. And they just take it. We won't sacrifice because that's a counter from a Glee that we will be losing. There's the Priest. And they don't even have a 1-drop to tap for, which is nice. Rite of Consumption. So that actually makes me want to just Sadistically onto the Beetle. Just grow this up as much as possible, because the Rite of Consumption can just finish them off. So we'll swing with the team. And they're going to take it. We're going to sack this anyway to kill the Priest, so we might as well do it right now for 3 extra damage. And they just concede right away. Yeah, we were in a really good spot. I will say, this game, if this was a Marauder, we would be in, honestly, a pretty poor spot. I probably would have used it right away to just pick off the Birchlore Rangers, but using it as a Shambling Ghast, it was incredible. So already a matchup where I'm happy to have that over the Marauder. We do get to bring in Tragic Slips, Spinning Darkness, and Drowned in Sorrow. Usually I would take out the 2 Accursed Marauders. Obviously we don't have those to take out. We take out some Sages, and I guess Unearth. Unearth is good with the Shambling Ghast and can be fine with anything else, but we have a lot of removal. We want to keep our card draw for that. Rite of Consumption's a nice win con. And the Shambling Ghasts are particularly good in this matchup, so we're certainly not cutting them. Like, as far as the matchups we want Shambling Ghast in, this is the number 1 that I would prefer Shambling Ghast. And if we go up against Mono Blue Terror, that's probably going to be the number 1 where I wish I had a Marauder instead. This hand is okay. We have 1 piece of removal. We have some card draw. We also have a Stamina Shambler, so we need to hit a little more removal and a Grower to really be in the money, but this one looks good enough. They play a Mystic. I was just thinking, if we draw a Snuff Out, like I don't really want to Tragic Slip this because I want to play a Shambler, but if we draw a Snuff Out, I could snuff this out. Then we have a Tragic Slip for the next creature. If they don't have a land, it's really good, but honestly, I think we just want to save these for the important creatures. Timberwatch Elf, Priest of Titania, Quarian Ranger. They untap, play another Quarian Ranger, and a Priest. So these each make an additional mana for this Mystic, so now I might want to kill the Mystic and the Priest, in which case I probably want to put a Sadistically on this first, because it's going to grow a bunch. Attack here on the off chance they block, not that I expect that. Tragic Slip the Priest of Titania, get a counter. We will snuff out the Mystic, because it makes them lose a lot of mana. And the next turn I can like Stamina Village Rites, get a whole bunch of squirrels. I would prefer to draw like another Shambler off the top that I can Stamina, and this one keeps growing, but Winding Way bins a Dispel and a Melody, but it finds a Hydra and a Sentinel, neither of which are that scary at the moment, because we've cut off their mana pretty effectively. We do get a swamp, so I think we are gonna... We lose this sadistically. Glee turns into basically just 2 squirrels here, but we don't have much else to do. Hitting for 5 and making 5 squirrels, drawing 2 cards, all seems pretty good, so... Wish we got a little more value out of it, but that's okay. Spinning Darkness and Shambling Ghast. I could spinning one of these, but these don't actually do anything, so I think I'll save it for like the Sentinel, or if they play like just a teeny tiny Hydra. They do play Sentinel. Yep, they do play a 1/2 Hydra. Bloodthrone Vampire. We're going to pick off that Sentinel, play a Vampire, swing with everything, and we're just in a very, very dominating position here. They're going to take 5, trade for 1 squirrel here. We're going to sack the Ghast to pick off the Hydra. I think that's probably fine, but honestly, Ghast can pick off something else scarier. I guess we'll leave it. I kind of want to pick off the Hydra because then our 1/1s get in better, but if they then play like 2 Priests of Titania or something, and it could be kind of problematic, that's not my favorite. Lead the Stampede. Finds Quirion and a Fyndhorn Elves. Not the best Lead the Stampede I've ever seen. Play a Fyndhorn. Mortician Beetle's a nice draw. Another good attacker. We're going to sacrifice the Ghast right now to pick off Fyndhorn Elves. They have to chump the Vampire. They could block a Hydra on here. They take 3, but we're growing this and we win the match pretty quickly. You can now pick up my comprehensive guide to Esper Cryo Affinity, including 38 sideboard matchups, and I just put out a big update for my Black Sack guide, including a slightly different deck list. I began offering coaching sessions if you're interested in taking your Pauper game to the next level, and I'm accepting deck donations, so if you desperately want me to play a deck that I usually wouldn't play, something like Elves, then you can make me do that for a small fee. I've started posting a League video every single day, not to mention streaming at least a couple times a week on Twitch, but I'm not going to be able to keep that up forever unless I can get a little bit more help from the community. Any of the ways I've just mentioned are great ways to help me out, or you can even subscribe and support me on a monthly basis. On the play here, and I thought there was a Bloodthrone Vampire in this hand. If there was, it'd be pretty decent. Without it, we got a mulligan. This hand's obviously worse. Now we got to keep... Put back the Rite of Consumption, put back, I think, the Shambling Ghast, even though it makes mana. Play the Link Breaker. This hand could be okay. It's a mull to 5, it's kind of rough, but if we can get the beetles bigger, like, ideally we hit a swamp naturally, and then I can play a beetle, grow it off the Village Rites. If it gets burned, the beetles are going to have a tough time surviving, though. We didn't hit our land, so obviously we got to Village Rites this. If they block, I'm just going to Village Rites without trading, because I might need the Mercenary to also turn into fodder here. Or into a sack. Yeah, if we don't hit anything. Another Epicure. Another Epicure. Swing for 1. We gotta take it. Another Shambler. That's pretty good with the stamina, but not very good if we don't hit lands. We're gonna swing. They're gonna call our bluff again. We hit a Snuff Out, which is pretty rough, but we do hit our land. Maybe we can survive here, but it feels unlikely. There's a Bushwhacker. I need to decide right now if I want to Snuff Out at all. If I Snuff Out, we go to 8. We take 2 more than we would take here. It feels like we're going to take at least 2 more off of one of these Epicures. So I think we do it. Not my favorite. It's either that or I just don't use Snuff Out the entire game, which is also possible. Possibly the right choice, but I gotta just Shambler, hold up stamina this time, I think. They bin a Mountain, Clockwork, Tomb Raider. Hoping for no Bolt, so I can just get this stamina off. And they can trade, I can make a bunch of squirrels, but they have the Bolt after all. We're down to 6, Link Breaker, play out our fodder, and pass. I'm gonna double block the Tomb Raider, take 1 damage. We are at 5. This one was pretty unfortunate. Mog War Marshal, nice. They have a Goblin Grenade. Hey, Reckless Abandon, almost guessed right. Bloodthrone Vampire, so late. If we had this and the beetles on the field, then and the beetles become 3/3s, I think we'd have a shot. But now I can play like the Vampire, but I have to chump, or rather trade, sack. Like there's no way. We're at 1. Really unfortunate. Get Drowned in Sorrows, Spinning Darkness. This is another match where the -1/-1 from Shambling Ghast can be pretty good actually. Like I think we'll just cut Unearths. On the play, and this hand looks pretty reasonable. Start with the Sage, and we'll pass. Epicure. So I could do Vampire, and then next turn Beetle, Shambler, and Village Rites. Vampire could die to like a Bolt or something. I think it's probably safer to just go Shambler, Village Rites this turn. And then next turn I can do Beetle and Vampire with more fodder on board. They're going to attack, and I want to use this Village Rites anyway, so let's go for that. Another Beetle and a Shambling Ghast. Okay. They have a Burning Tree Emissary. Into, I would assume, like a Reckless Impulse. Oh, Mog War Marshal. Nice. Here, Vampire and a Beetle feels a little sketchy, But we're definitely getting down Vampire. I could go for like a Ghast or something, but if the Vampire falls, they probably can't kill both of these. And if the Vampire falls, then the Beetles are kind of useless. I think we just do this. We do know they have Reckless Abandon, which I believe is an instant. Oh, that's nice. Also, I forgot. Mog War Marshal's Sacrifice triggers the Beetle. Almost makes me wish I played both Beetles. Synth, good sign. Into Tomb Raider, and no mana up, okay. Yeah, can't attack in. Okay, pretty nice for us. Now we get to just get down a second Beetle, all this fodder, and attack in with these two. They jump block the Vampire, which makes sense, because they have to block something. I think we sack the Shambling Gas, just pick off another one of their 1/1s. I could always save that for later, but I think I like... It's about the same picking off a 1/1 now or later, and I think I'd rather have the utility of the Flyer and both the Shamblers. There's a Percussionist and an Epicure. Village Rites, that could get us something different. Insect's not super relevant, and if we get like 2 Staminas, I'm going to want it, so let's just go for this first. I'm going to want both Shamblers, that is. Drown in Sorrow. Can I just win here? Because I can sack all 4 of these, so we get 4 counters here, 4 counters here. This will be 9, so reduced by 2, so this is 7 damage. This is 6 damage, so 13, and this is 5 damage, so 18. So yes, Drown in Sorrow should just win us the game here. Even if I did my math wrong and somehow it doesn't, there's no way they should be able to win from me at 18 life if I wipe their whole board, so I think we'll be okay either way. But I think we just win. So sack all of this, grow everything, and then Drown in Sorrow, wipe the board. We'll leave that on top. They do get something from this, but this is, 18 damage, and we'll win. Nice game there. I just played Intro Pete's Black Sack list last week, and he had a Vampiric Link in the sideboard that I kind of need to try out a little bit more, because I always bring in the Spinning Darkness against Red Rally. There's not... I'd take out my other single target removal because there's not one creature I want to kill, but the life gain is really nice in it for being free. But if I swapped this for a Vampiric Link and just had a way to, like, basically just win the game if I have, like, a 9/9 lifelinker, I think I'd like that a little bit better. So it would also be better against Rakdos Madness, especially. I think I need to try that out at some point. This hand is decent enough. We need a little more fodder. The second Carrion Feeder's like fodder, so these can be like 3/3s. It's not amazing, but it is fine, I guess. There's an Epicure. There's some more fodder. We're going to play a Shambling Ghast, because this lets me play Carrion Feeder Beetle next turn, sack this to make a treasure if I want to, and then play a Sage, which gets both of these above Bolt range, which could be pretty good. They play a Percussionist and a Tomb Raider. They do get in for a lot of damage here, but I simply must take it. Another Carrion Feeder. Play this, play a Beetle. Of course, being above a Bolt doesn't really matter if I'm just blocking one of these and then trading with that in a Bolt. I mean, I guess it does still trade. We're going to sack this, might as well get in for damage. And I am wasting the pinging something off for 1, which is pretty relevant, but by doing that I also get another blocker. I don't know. I think this is worth it. And I have to sack right here to really make sure it survives the bolts, though. Otherwise, if I try to respond to something by sacrificing that, then these are susceptible. Which is still true if I sack the insect proactively, but... We also have a Rite of Consumption, so if I can just keep, like, my Beetle alive, which maybe I need to not block with it then. If I can keep it alive, then the Rite of Consumption can hopefully do the rest. So I could just block with an insect, like here, sacrifice it. If they go for a Bolt, I could sack the Feeder to itself. We have a 5/5. I think we are doing that, but we might as well block here. They don't currently have Galvanic Blast online for Metalcraft, so if they Bolt, I'm happy to sack the Feeder to itself here. Not happy, not in love with the idea, but like I'm willing to. Improvised Club. Haha, that's so funny. The Improvised Club, which is basically a Reckless Abandon kind of thing. Sacrifice an artifact or creature to do 4 damage, but they trigger the Beetle. So the Beetle grows, and then it's a 4/4, and then I'll sack the Feeder to itself to keep the Beetle alive. So because they triggered my Beetle, it's actually going to survive this, which is, it's going to be a 6/6. We only take 1 here. We get to attack back for 6. We get a Swamp. So I could attack back for 7 and then throw for 7. That's obviously not lethal. So I might as well just Feeder, hit for 6, or I could make a 7. I think we just leave it at 6 because if I sack one of the Feeders proactively here, then they kill the other one. It's not great, whereas if they just try to kill one, then I can keep the other one alive for now. But if we can hit him with the Beetle for 6 or 7 damage, then we can kill him with the Rite of Consumption. So hopefully they just don't have a blocker here and are just trying to race. I don't have a blocker, obviously, so I gotta take 3, though. They play a Mountain and just pass. Another Rite of Consumption, which I can't use, but I think we've just got it here, unless they have, like, double Bolt on the Beetle. That wouldn't even do it. So they take 8, and we'll just Rite of Consumption. I don't expect them to have any life gain, so let's just throw this without growing it at all. And we won that match. Nice. This hand is acceptable. Against Fairies. I have not played against Fairies in a while. This is yet another match where Shambling Ghasts are better than Marauders. I'm not going to say that that's always going to be the case, because it really isn't, but literally Elves, Red Rally, Fairies, and then if we hit White Weenie, those are the 4 matches where I prefer the -1/-1. Here, it's a little interesting. I probably just want to snuff this out, and then I could get down a Shambling Ghast. But if we don't hit a land, I'm not going to be able to get a Carrion Feeder down. But if I do hit the land, I can Carrion Feeder, and if they have a Spell Setter, I can Village Rites the Shambling Ghast to pick it off. So I think this is the way. If we're on 1 land, we're kind of in a rough spot regardless. I kind of have a rule of thumb, don't keep a 1-land hand against fairies at all. Obviously in the dark, you don't know if they're fairies, so obviously I still sometimes do. But once we know they're fairies, not my preferred thing to do. They do Strix here though. That means I don't have to fear the Spell Stutter, which is really nice. I could go for a Village Rites. Of course they could have a Spell Pierce or Dispel. It does get to pick off the Harrier Strix either way though. Or I could just Carrion Feeder. Unless they have a Force Spike, I get that to resolve, and then I get to pick this off. But then we're not hitting our lands, which is kind of rough. I think the Feeder is more important to get down. They have the Force Spike. Well, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. That makes sense as to why they were willing to play the Strix, is because the Force Spike catches anything. Stuck on 1 mana makes things very difficult for us. They attack for 1. They luckily don't have a ninja. They pass. We find the swamp. So here I get to Carrion Feeder. If they have the Spell Stutter, then I can Village Rites and pick off the Spell Stutter, and I hope they don't have a Force Spike. Another one, that is. But if not, that works, and I get my Carrion Feeder. Very nice. All right. Things are not going too poorly for us now. They swing for 1. They do find the ninja, though. That's pretty good for them. Ninja the Depowers. Don't replay the Strix, so they have something. We'll play a couple Sages. Sages are really good against flyers, of course. We'll hold up Village Rites, swing with the Feeder. I'll just pass. There's Strix again, tapping down a Sage. And another Strix, tapping down the other Sage. We're gonna Village Rites, hope for no Force Spike, although they held up 1 mana for some reason before. Not for that, though. And I get to... I don't love using an insect, a flyer, to chump a non-flyer, but I don't want this ninja to connect, and that was my only way to prevent it from happening. Of 1 mind. They tap out. That's kind of nice. Beetle, Sadistically, Unearth. We got a lot of good cards here. I think we're just going Beetle, Shambler, and Sadistically on the Shambler. We have 3 Growers, and then I have an Unearth next turn for whatever they may have. Attack, we have for 3, and we'll just pass. We also got a Rite of Consumption, which, if we can get past a counterspell, could be really good, obviously. Attack with the Strixes, so they clearly have a ninja, I think. They don't have to. They could just be getting in for 2, but I could sack the Sage to block. I think it's worth trying. If we get to kill the Strix, it's pretty good. They could have a Brine Barrow. They could have a bunch of things, but we also are just growing all of our guys at the same time, and we have an Unearth to get the Sage back, or a Shambling Ghast or something. I guess they could snap the insect, but block, ninja, the other one. If these trade, then our Shambler gets 2 counters, which is just making more and more squirrels. Miscreant, and they're going to pass with 2 mana up. Okay, Shambling Ghasts, they Spell Stutter that, and then I Unearth something better, like an Infestation Sage. No, they let that go. Still going to try to Unearth an Infestation Sage. Counterspell for that. So if I can get in for enough damage here, I can sack the Ghast to make a treasure, and I can Rite a Consumption now that they're tapped out, and they don't block anything. I mean, they're just, I'm pretty sure they're just dead even if I don't use the Rite Consumption, right? This right here is 12 damage. Okay, so that's not lethal, but it is if I sack the Shambling Ghast, or the Nested Shambler, and start sacrificing the squirrels. Yeah, I mean, we just have lethal on board. All right, they should have blocked, but the Rite of Consumption would have gotten them even if they blocked. They would have had to block all 3, and they couldn't do that, so. All right, another nice match for the Ghasts. Tragic Slips are good. Spinning Darkness and Drown in Sorrow are decent. Take out Rite of Consumption. Sadistically can be good and was good there, but they, especially from the sideboard, will have Bind the Monsters, they'll have Snaps, a lot of stuff. This is a 1-lander. We have Village Rites, but we have no fodder, and we're just going to fall behind so quickly. Like, there's so much value here, but 1-lander against fairies, I don't like to have it. 0-lander, a little bit worse even. I mean, this hand is, like, barely keepable either. Even on 5. I don't really think we're going to win on 4, though, so let's just keep it in Bin 2 Swamps, I suppose. Link Breaker's a nice draw. We're going to just cast it, hope for no Force Spike, but I can't really afford to not cast it, because then we get, like, Vampire next turn, and then, you know. I do have a Brine Barrow. I think we just snuff that out. I don't know, it's tough. Holding stuff out for fairies is a lot better, but Brinebearer is also just going to put a ninja down. If they then just play like a Fairy Seer into an of one mind, that's kind of bad. And if we just top deck another Snuff Out, it doesn't matter too much. Swing for one, we'll see if they just have a counterspell. They don't. And nothing at instant speed either. Interesting. Hardcast of one mind, love to see that. Always my favorite thing. Drown in Sorrow is kind of a waste. I don't love to see that. I would have loved a Nested Shambler or something here. But they are on the back foot. Drown in Sorrow is obviously not what we want when they're on the back foot. I want it when I'm on the back foot. Unable to scream on a vampire, sure. And another of one mind. Okay. There's the Nested Shambler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can hit for 11 here. Obviously not lethal, but I think we pump with the Link Breaker because the Mercenary can pump the Shambler next turn, so I can hit for 1 extra. Then we'll pass. They have nothing. Well, nothing at sorcery speed anyway. Pump the Shambler. Swing with these two. I guess they'll just take 3. We'll pass the turn. They got nothing. Hardcast a Hacker. Village Rites. I assume they have counter spells, so Village Rites probably won't resolve. Just swing with these two. They take it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could deal lethal, but what are the chances they have a snap or something? Pretty high. I think we'll just deal 3. Pass. We'll chump and go for a Village Rites. If they have a Spell Stutter Sprite, I get to snuff it out, but they could obviously just have another counterspell. If they have a Dispel, then obviously I can't do anything about it. Play an Island and pass. Carrion Feeder. We'll play that, see what they got. Nothing. Kind of feels like I should just keep hitting for 3, although it looks like they're actually finally doing something. Snapping on the Shambler. I'm obviously just going to sack that, but I assume then they snap the Vampire. Yep, and we'll sack. Actually, I don't have to sack that. I could just let it go. If they have a counterspell, so be it. Yeah, I think we'll let that go, actually. They only have 2 cards left. Play that. They do have the counterspell, so we're going to snuff out the Hacker while they're tapped out, because I don't have a blocker for it. I don't want them to loot. And it just chumps. But now they only have a couple cards in hand. Before they had like a million, so I don't have to be as worried. Beetle's pretty good if it resolves. It does not. Pump and attack for 4. Could make it 5, but I couldn't do anything more than that, so let's just leave it at 4. All right, and we win that one. On the play here, and this hand looks pretty decent. We're going to keep. Start with a Link Breaker, and Rakdos Madness, it looks like. So Snuff Out's not very good. This is one where Shambling Ghast is not really going to shine. I think we have a fine hand against them, assuming we can hit our land drop, which is always the question, and we cannot. There's an Epicure, something to snuff out, and a Bog, which honestly is kind of annoying because Nezumi Link Breaker is my only fodder. I was thinking about unearthing that at some point, not right away, but if I draw Swamp, yeah, it was a real possibility to just do it right there. I think I just go for Carrion Feeder and a Beetle, and I can unearth whichever one they try to kill, assuming they do try to kill either one. And if not, we just have probably some decent attackers, although without a double body fodder creature, it's kind of tough to get them very big very quickly. Grab the prize with a Snacker. The Lightning Bolt's the Carrion Feeder. That's definitely the one I'd prefer to die. We'll snack it to itself, but obviously they don't know that. It really depends on what I have in hand. But this does just get to block the Epicure. Probably should have attacked first. Shambling Ghast, okay. Like I said, not the best in this matchup, but actually not terrible. It does let us pick off a blocker here. Although, hard to fit into our mana. I probably just want to get a Vampire down. And the next turn, I can like Ghast and Unearth and stuff. I could snuff this out. Before life feels like way more damage than this is going to deal. And just kills us probably too quickly. So I think we Vampire and swing. They do block the Beetle, so we get in for a little bit less damage. If they leave the Snacker back, Ghast can pick that off as a blocker, which is nice. If another grab the prize with a Snacker. Play an End the Festivities. Well, I'm going to sack the Mercenary, obviously, to keep these guys alive. If they attack here, and I get a double body creature, then I can win. They do attack. Any double body creature would do it. Oh, they haven't played a land, so they could potentially have like another blocker, but like otherwise, Vampire's not it. Can I still win? I actually might still be able to. We can Ghast, sacrifice, so that's 3 damage, and it's free because it makes a treasure back. And then we can unearth it, and it's another 3 free damage. So that's 6, 10, and I still have my 2 mana, which means Beetle can be 13. That's not quite lethal, though. So I think... But I have this Village Rites, so I think we Ghast and Village Rites, making a treasure. If I hit the double body creature, I think I can still get there? Maybe. Double Swamp, I mean, that's not, I guess, the worst thing ever. I mean, it's pretty bad, but like one of these swamps isn't terrible, because now I can play another Beetle, unearth the Shambling Ghast, and I could hit in for 5, and then these could be 11, so that's not lethal. But I can kill off one of the Snackers, so I take less damage. I could do that now, or I could do it... Now gives us more damage, but if I wait I could pick off a blocker. I think I might as well just deal more damage. If they have both of these, they probably don't even need to leave one back as a blocker. Like, they only need to deal 7, and we die. It's a bit unfortunate because we had so many outs to just win right there, but if we don't die here, which they have to deal us 9, that's a lot, then we still have an okay shot at winning. They need 2 blockers or they're going to lose. Faithless Looting brings back Snacker. Madness of Kitchen Imp. So they do have 2 blockers if they don't attack with either. They attack with both. I feel like that means I'm dead. Or maybe they have like an Epicure to block, which Stuff Out could take out. There's the Epicure. Although I'd go down to 2, so I'd die to a Bolt. Oh, another Epicure. Oh my gosh. So I can go to 1 with this Snuff Out, and then I'm pretty sure I can win with these other 2. Oh, Shambler definitely clinches it. All right. Because if they block this Beetle and this Vampire, this Beetle is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not lethal. So they would need like a Fire Blast or something, which I'm not expecting in this version. But this Snuff Out actually being useful is kind of crazy. Hey, if they get me with some Gut Shot or something, like, good on them. But they can only block here or here, and then the others can definitely deal 9 damage. All right, we got that game. Ooh, I mean, Snuff Out's obviously coming out, but pretty sick that it had some utility there. We get Life Gain and Graveyard Hate. This is the match where Spitting Darkness being a Vampiric Link could be kind of cool. And we are going to take out a couple Shambling Ghasts. We'll leave a couple as well. They can be useful picking off a Snacker or an Epicure, but there's not that many creatures and it can't kill a Kitchen Imp, so it's not always the best. All right, we got a mulligan. Okay, this hand needs fodder. It needs growers. It needs life gain. It needs... this hand's not going to work. They're also on a mull to 5, so maybe this is okay. And this hand actually looks pretty decent. A lot worse when we get rid of 2 of these cards, though. They mulled a 4? Okay, well, maybe we'll be okay. I could just keep Vampire Sage. Kind of think it's going to be Vampire Sage Village Rites. Hope we draw something, just because we're so low on cards. Then again, they are too, but I don't know. This is what we're going to keep. They play a Jagged Barrens. Get a Carrion Feeder. Not terrible. They Faithless Looting. They hit a Kitchen Imp, discard a Swamp. That's pretty good for them. Take 2. Another Sage. Alright, I think we just Feeder Sage here. Feeder's pretty protected. I think we'll take 2 here again. We can start chump blocking it next turn. Lightning Bolt on the Feeder. So I'd have to sacrifice 2 Sages and an Insect to keep this alive, which is not bad, but then if they bolt it again, it's kind of rough. I think we'll just let that go because I have a Vampire to follow it up with. Luckily, they didn't have like an End of Festivities there. Ooh, and a Swamp's not bad because I get to hold up Village Rites. Attack for 2. And now if we can keep our creature count the same, a Rite of Consumption would be lethal here. Assuming they don't have a blocker, because I'm assuming the Kitchen Imp will come at us. I think we're still high enough life total that I'm actually going to leave it for now. But we are probably going to Village Rites a Sage on the end step, so I would need to find 1 creature here with the Rite of Consumption to still be lethal. They bolt on the Vampire. So I'm going to Village Rites a Sage and see what we draw. Because if I draw another Vampire, I might just let this go. But if we don't... I kind of need the Vampire around, but then I need to sack a Sage and an Insect. I feel like they're going to have another Bolt. I kind of think I let this go, and then I just hope to draw some more stuff with the Village Rites. Yeah, like they're getting the cards they need, and obviously they mulliganed lower than us, but this is definitely an example of us being like... having too few cards to really, like if I had more fodder. I mean, they have drawn 2 lands, 3 I guess because they discarded 1, and we've drawn 5 lands. So they were down 1 card overall, but they're basically up 3 cards because of that. So that's kind of why it's tough for us here. Anyway, I was going to chump with the Insect, but they decide not to attack after all. Still want a Village Rites here, so I guess we're going to go for the Sage. This is worse if they end the Festivities, but they didn't right here. Another Village Rites. We might want to jump with these, so I think we just wait. Reunion's not bad. I think I just want to take out the Faithless Looting. That's really strong for them right now, even though it shows that we have the Reunion. I guess I should probably just Village Rites this Zombie then, because I could get Carrion Feeder and Life Staff. These are really good cards. Play that, play a Life Staff, and equip up to an Insect. Alright, that's pretty good. Carrion Feeder is still susceptible to a Bolt if they have another Bolt, but Life Staff is going to be really helpful in keeping us alive. They do have the End of the Festivities, so I might as well keep my Carrion Feeder alive, assuming I can. Sacking the Insects, I do gain 3. Then they have Extract a Confession, you got me. Attack for 2. They have a Mountain in hand that we know about. Stamina. Alright. If we draw nothing, we're going to lose, obviously. But Stamina, we have a Rotten Reunion, Life Staff on the field. We just need to hit some creatures and we'll be in a decent spot, I think, if we can. Play a Mountain, Swamp. Perfect. It's possible I should have fought over those earlier growers a lot more, but it felt like we would have run out of fodder and not been in a great spot either. Okay, I guess we're going to Rotten Reunion at the end step here. Equip up Life Staff just so I can get 3 life. Faithless Looting, I guess that's something to exile. They have a Fiery Temper. They also have a Snacker, so I might just need to exile that. Temper down to 6. Barons 5. Imp puts us to 3. I kind of think I need to get rid of this Faithless Looting. Snacker doesn't come back unless they get another card draw spell, and if they do, we're probably dead either way. So we're going to go for the looting. I feel like we could not have been unluckier here. 8 swamps out of 20 cards. We're going to attack just so we hopefully survive a turn, and I don't even know what we're going to get. Like, it's going to keep us alive here. We also went through a bunch of our village rights, which were good, but then we just, I mean, I prefer to have literally 5 fewer swamps here and 5 more spells of any other kind. I think 1 or 2 more spells of anything would have been able to win us this game, though. Shambling Ghast. I mean, we're not technically dead. Pretty dang close, though. And if I don't have a way to kill this Shambling Ghast, then we're going to die even if they don't have just like a bolt here. If I can get a Carrion Feeder here, I can maybe be okay. Link Breaker doesn't do it. I have no way to kill these. I have no way to stop this imp. This is not lethal damage. That's really, really annoying. And obviously in that situation, having like 1 Tragic Slip would have saved us 12 life or whatever from the Kitchen Imp. That's not usually where we're going to be, so I don't think it's worth it, but obviously not. Great. We got a mulligan that. This one's definitely going to lose if we don't get another land, but we drew so many last time. I think we're going to keep. Get rid of a Sage. Maybe I should get rid of the Right of Consumption in this one, but feels like the right card to keep to try to cheat. Cheat a win. Epicure. Yep, there's a Vampire. Well, they have the turn 2 Kitchen Imp. Swing for 2. We got a Life Staff. We attack, they block with the Epicure. That's a fine trade. I mean, obviously we want our fodder for our growers, but I don't know. Seems decent enough. And the festivities would be kind of annoying, as would grab the prize Fiery Temper. They pick off the insect. Fair, it would gain me some life, 3 life at some point with the Life Staff. There's a swamp. So I can either equip up the Life Staff and play the beetle, or I could just Vampire here. If they go for a bolt on the Vampire and I want to keep it alive, I have to sack the Link Breaker and the Mercenary, and then the Vampire's kind of bad. And if I'm gonna sack those, I feel like I at the very least should have gained some life from it. I think we're going to do this. Obviously the beetle is susceptible, and if they end the festivities, it's a real bummer, but I can't afford to not play the beetle, I don't think. I think this is a little better, although not great still. There's an Epicure, just a bolt on the beetle, and a Jagged Barrens, hit for 2. We get a swamp, so I could sacrifice this right away to the Vampire, and then equip the Life Staff again to gain some life. I kind of think I need to be able to survive here. I might equip the Life Staff to the Vampire since it's probably going to die. They just block. I mean, that's actually fine. I was going to just sacrifice it for basically no gain except for that anyway. Vampire, yeah, we'll equip this here. So if they want to kill it, at least I gain some. Because I'm probably not... If they bolt this and the Life Staff's over here, I'm not going to sack the Mercenary because it's not going to keep the Vampire alive. So I might as well gain the 3 this way. Highway Robbery. Another Kitchen Imp. I guess if they end the festivities, I might want to sacrifice the Mercenary to the Vampire. In fact, I certainly will, and that would make it a waste of the Life Staff, but there's more bolts to worry about than there are festivities. Then again, here's the end of the festivities. Like, sacrificing the Vampire to itself does not keep this Mercenary alive, so might as well try to keep the Vampire alive. I can always kill it itself if I really need to for the Life Staff. Epicure, so we're going down to 6 here. Give me a Nested Shambler, please. Even just some double body fodder creature would have allowed me to gain a bunch more life, but now I have, like, I guess I've attack, feeder, sack this. I gotta have a Vampire. We really could have had a chance. I guess theoretically if we survive here, we could still have a chance if we just find that double body creature. Yeah, we'll let those trade. Gain 3. Equip to this. Like, a double body creature would give us 6 life for 3 mana. Play the creature, equip for 1. Sacrifice it, equip for 1, and then we hit for 5. 6 life is enough to kind of stay afloat, potentially, for a couple of turns. So if we could just do that while hitting for 5, I think we'd be in a fine spot. They have another Kitchen Imp. We'll take 6. They have an Alms of the Vein. I guess I'll sack the Vampire to itself. I can't imagine we can survive here. Sometimes I want to side in Drown in Sorrow against them because I could just kill all 3 of these Kitchen Imps, but that just doesn't usually play out that way. And yeah, I kind of can't believe we lost that match. But then again, I remember that we drew 8 lands and 20 cards, and I can't believe it. All right, this hand is missing a sack outlet, which I usually don't like to keep, but it's just got a lot of other utility. So hopefully we'll find it. And if not, we will inevitably lose. We're against Dimir something. Terror's been on the rise a little bit, so that's what I'm going to guess. Snacker makes me think it probably is. Feeder, no. Attack for 1. They're going to trade for that, sure. Probably because they can just bring it back. I guess I'll Shambler and, like, unearth this guy. Maybe I should save that for, like, a Carrion Feeder that gets counterspelled or something, but that's not where we're at. Here's a Brainstorm. They're going to pass. Another Link Breaker. Swing for 3. Play a Link Breaker. They often play a Suffocating Fumes main deck, so I don't really want to throw out this Beetle. It's not really doing much anyway. They cycle a Lorien. Play an Aquifer and pass. There's a Vampire. I should have mercenaried up this Shambler, because now if it dies, it's only going to make 1 guy. For that reason, I'm going to kind of leave it back, actually. But yeah, I should have mercenaried onto this, because we just have so many potential mercenaries that, like, I don't really want to lose that for no value. I'm going to play a Beetle. They have counterspell mana, obviously. If they counter this, then I can get a Vampire down. If they don't, I'll just pass, probably. Brainstorm the Snacker back, and they counterspell that. So they could still just have a cast down for the Vampire, but that was what I wanted. If they tap out for a bunch of Terrors or something, I can write a Consumption for 13, so almost lethal. Abandon attachments, discarding an island. Play another island. There's a Terror. 1 mana left. Oh, Stamina on the Shambler's pretty good. I guess we just go for that. I don't want to... If they have a Dispel for the Stamina, then I can just win with the Rite of Consumption. I don't want to play a Rite of Consumption because they could have a Spell Pierce. I'm not going to go all in and lose everything there. But I will Stamina on the Shambler here. And they do have the Dispel. So, yeah, because I can sack this, sack this. This is a 5/5, so it survives. They take 2. Down to 13, and then these will... I have Exaxes. So that's exactly what we wanted, actually. So that, and then, yep, these are +8, so we'll sack everything, and we will Rite of Consumption for lethal. Nice win. We get Spell Bomb, Reunions, Tragic Slips, and we do get our Cursed Marauders here. Right worked there, but counter spells make it really tough to deal with. Honestly, Shambling Ghast's not that great in this matchup. They can ping off a Snacker, but that's about it. And Snuff Out can hit Terror, but their other creatures are usually Gurmag and Snackers, so they're not actually great. So let's bring back in 1 Shambling Ghast and just do it that way. Hand looks pretty good. They got a Spell Bomb. Generally not a card I care too much about, but we do have an Unearth in hand, so it could be a little annoying. Lead on a Feeder. We even get a second one, so if they just cast this down, second one survives. Aquifer. We get a Sadistic Glee. That's interesting. I think we're just playing 2 Shamblers here. Maybe it should have been a Carrion Feeder, but we're just going to attack for 1 and then pass. And then I'll probably try to Glee up one of the Shamblers. Start growing it. They Thought Scour, hit 2 lands. Good for us. Brainstorm. And they hold up Counterspell mana. What are they likely to Counterspell? Not an Unearth because they have the Spell Bomb. Probably not a Carrion Feeder. And if they do, then I'll get a Glee down. They almost do, but decide against it, and that's totally fine. I'm just going to hit for 3 and pass. Mental Note hits Thought Scour attachments. It's 5 cards in the grave. And a Lorien revealed. Now we're going to go for a Village Rites on a Shambler. Since they're tapped out, we get another Sadistically. Interesting. Play a Lorien. They play Mystic. Okay. I did take out our Snuff Outs, but this seems very aggressive from them. Playing it with no backup. Sage. I could double Sadistically onto the Shambler, and then it gets a counter, 2 counters for every creature that dies. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this could be a 5/5, and this would be a 9/9. Then this makes 10. So this could be pretty much lethal. I mean, we're gonna just double Glee onto this guy, I think. Also unearth this Shambler. They gotta crack the Spell Bomb or I get it back. They don't draw a card at least. Could have just held this for cycling, but probably would have been more valuable to be honest, but whatever. If they let it go, they're crazy though. I should have done this before the Glee, because now it's even more obvious I want it, but yeah, they do crack it. So I lose out on a card draw from the cycling. They lose out on a card draw from the Spell Bomb, so maybe it's like even, but probably could have done better. Whatever. Put this on the Shambler. I know they're not going to do the math and they're probably just going to take it or maybe block this Squirrel. So there's no way I could probably force them to block with a Mystic, but I think we're 1 damage short. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 9/9, 14. Yeah, I think we're 1 damage short. I mean, we can still put a million Squirrels on the board, which unless they have a Suffocating Fumes or Arms of Adar, we win just from that. Yep, they block the Squirrel. Sack that. Sack the Sage. Sack the Insect. Sack the Carrion Feeder. And we'll just hit for 14. Since I know it's not lethal, there's no reason to go for it. And now they have to have... Well, they could have removal for both of these, but this turns into a million Squirrels. Of course, they can have chump blockers for these, but if they don't leave up a Suffocating Fumes here, then I can just turn this into 9 Squirrels, and then they should die from those. But if they're smart enough to just leave up the potential for Suffocating Fumes, then if I sack the Shambler, it turns them all into Squirrels, then they kill all of those, and it doesn't actually do what I want. There's a Terror, and looks like a Gurmag Angler, so this is not going to keep them alive. Not sure they realize I'm about to make 9 squirrels. Boom, here's an army of squirrels. Rotten Reunion, nice. Alright, we attack with everything, and we win the game. Unless they have a 1-mana fog or something. In blue. Mental note, not quite. Alright, we get a 4-1 with the deck. I gotta be honest, after match 3, the deck felt like it was just running so smoothly. I really thought we were going to get a trophy with it, and then we just got the worst of luck in match 4. And that goes to show you that this game it's a lot of skill, but it's a lot of luck too. So really unfortunate. I was looking forward to the trophy. I think, like I said, we drew 8 swamps in our top 20 cards. If 1 or 2 of those were just about any other card in our deck, I think we would have won that game pretty easily. And if, 4 or 5 of them were other spells, we would have won it super handily. So that's how it goes sometimes, I understand, but a bit unfortunate. In any case, I kind of liked the Shambling Ghasts, the extra ones, and I didn't miss the Accursed Marauders, but then again, we played against, like I said, 3 of the 4 specific matches that I would want Shambling Ghasts against. Rakdos Madness is not one where I care for Accursed Marauders, and then we did play against Dimir Terror where we like them, but we're already pretty favored against Terror that I've found that the Marauders are not always as necessary, which is part of why I kind of liked this Shambling Ghast. By no means am I immediately going to be changing my stock list to include these, but I might start trying them out a little bit more, and obviously, if I decide it's the best way to go forward with it, I'll make updates to my sideboard guide, and everyone will know about it at that point. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my monthly supporters. If you want to support me on a monthly basis, go ahead and check out my Metafy down below. It's the best way to make sure I keep putting up videos daily. Thank you to my current $10 and up supporters, Howard Granger, Rafa Rodriguez, JD NPX, Tommaso Magnani, Apple Beta Pi, Halkaz, Cody Cowell, Sty, and Emmanuel Mayer. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you all next time.